Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Dark Souls beginner walkthrough video. So this time I'm going to head down into New Londo, and I'm going to unlock the other serpent guy, which he's not going to be there and he's not going to talk to me because I sided with Frampt. Now if I would have waited and didn't place the Lord Vessel with Frampt, he would be down there and you would be able to hear what he says and whatnot. So if you haven't done that yet, then he'll be down there for you when we get there. I spent a little time getting some gold pine resin. I farmed the mushroom people in the forest, the Darkroot Garden area, because the mushroom parents drop gold pine resin like guaranteed every time you kill one. There's only 2 back there. And then the mushroom children, which are the smaller version, have a pretty good chance of dropping it as well. So I went ahead and got some because my sword can be buffed, but I don't think it can be infused if I remember correctly, because it's a special weapon that upgrades with Titanite. So I can't infuse it with lightning, but I can apply a lightning effect on it. So that's kind of my way around it. So the first thing I'm going to do in New Londo, actually, is grab a Firekeeper Soul. Now, technically, you could have gotten this Firekeeper Soul since the very beginning of this series. The problem is, if you get 3 Firekeeper Souls, Lautrec will knock out Firelink Shrine, regardless if you've actually beaten Quelaag and rung your second bell. You don't have to ring the second bell, or you don't have to ring Quelaag's bell second. You can ring the gargoyle 1 second. But if you haven't rung your second bell and you've collected 3 of these, he'll also put out Firelink Shrine, which was something I wanted to avoid, even though by the time you pick the 3rd one, in that case, up in Lighttown, you wouldn't need Firelink Shrine anyway, because you're going to be going over to Sen's Fortress. But it was something I wanted to avoid, because I think they kind of intended you to get it around now. So I grabbed it here. The important thing to note, and you saw me do it, I didn't explain it because I was talking, but when you go to this area, and the reason why we avoided it is you have to use these items called transient curses to kill the white ghosts that are flying around here. And early game, they don't have a ton of health, but they're a lot harder to kill if you can't 1 or 2 shot them. So I avoided this area completely early game because most people just suicide run for that Firekeeper Soul and then Homeward Bone out if they can. So I wanted to avoid dying and doing all that. Now I'm leaving New Londo because you need to get something before you can even do the boss for New Londo. And you don't know that yet, but there's a guy in the ruins that you talk to and he'll tell you that. And it's backtracking all the way out here to go do that, so you might as well go do it now and follow me. But basically, this boss is in an area called the Abyss, and humans can't walk in the Abyss normally. Only, weird evil creatures or something can walk in the Abyss. But there was one guy, Artorias, who was known to walk the Abyss. He somehow figured it out. And the guy in New Londo tells you, if you can find Artorias, perhaps you can learn the way of walking the Abyss from him. And so we're going to go do that now, and then when we talk to him, I'll point it out again. That way you know what I'm talking about. So in order to do that, we have to go to Darkroot Garden, which you can cut through Valley of Drakes to do. This is an undead dragon. There will be another one in the painted world whenever I decide to go do that. And if you take the item from his left hand, so the hand on the right there, you can grab it without him waking up, If you attack him or go for the items in his right hand, then he wakes up and attacks you. The safest way by far is to shoot arrows at him like this, because if you go up and hit him and you stay too close, I'll show you what happens. You're gonna die. I mean, that's the point, but you'll see how unfair it is. This breath attack is kind of weak, so don't worry about it. But if you're under here, you get stuck there, you try to get up, boom, you get hit again, you're dead. So let's try that again. So basically the strategy to killing him with a melee weapon is to bait a breath attack and then attack him when the moment is right. So you can stand back here, he'll do this breath attack, which has like no range, and I think it's supposed to look like it does a bigger area of effect, at least from my memory. I think it's supposed to look more intimidating than that. It's been a while since I've played this game, and it might be something with the 60 frames, because I swear his breath is supposed to be spreading out all over the area, not like hitting the ground and sinking into it. But I guess that shows just how low the range is, so you really don't have to be afraid of any of that. So basically you bait the really short range semicircle thing he does there, and then you go after his hand here, and just remember to back up before he can swat you, because he does a lot of damage with the swat. And with the Silver Knight Sword at +5, we're doing a ton of damage, better than arrows could do. So just rinse and repeat. He should almost be dead here. Looks like a few more hits. And the reason why I didn't go into Valley of Drakes early is because I was going to grab these other items that he's guarding, but he's kind of a tough foe back then. He can one-shot you. So you pick up the Astora Straight Sword and the Dragon Crest Shield. Now the Dragon Crest Shield is the Crest Shield. It's got a dragon on it instead, and it's got better fire defense and weaker magic, of course. But it's almost identical, or is identical, in every single way. Even the description barely changes. They're both medium shields from a high-ranking knight of Astora. They're both blue. This one has a crest, that one has a dragon crest. You get the idea. Just simple stat swaps, basically. And then Astora Straight Sword is, it's a faith weapon. And you could have grabbed this to go into the catacombs, but it really blows unupgraded for the catacombs. And, I mean, it was probably about as good as my short sword at the time, so you probably could have picked it up. But, it's really not that good, and to upgrade it, you need Twinkling Titanite, which you can't get until Anor Londo. Or you can't really get in large quantities until Anor Londo. And I didn't want to blow Twinkling Titanite on upgrading that, so. Another reason why you don't really go into Valley of Drakes super early is because you have to deal with these blue drakes. And the blue drakes are weaker than the red one, but they do this lightning. And really, there's not a lot that defends against lightning. The Silver Knight Shield is pretty much the best thing you got in terms of shields that'll defend against it, other than like a great shield of some kind. And their bite attacks are fast and do pretty good damage. And then the breath attacks often kill you too. So as a weak character, your best bet is to just run past these guys. But now that we're leveled up, and we have a lot of flasks, we can take our time and actually kill these guys. Especially two-handing this sword, you can stagger them in 3 hits, and take out like half their health while doing that too. So it's not too much of an issue. And And this bridge here is kind of the tricky part. You've got this one here, and then you've got 3 by the giant door over there. And they like to do flying attacks because this is a bridge, and they can't beat you by walking at you. But they can fly and do the breath down. So I should have switched to the Silver Knight Shield earlier, but I didn't. I think I switched to it after the next Drake, which means that I'm going to take some serious damage even while blocking. So the smart decision before you go and battle all these guys is to switch to the Silver Knight Shield and make your world a lot easier. Also, a bow can help out a lot. You can headshot these guys and take them out if you're good with dexterity and you're kind of leveling up a bow to kind of use more often than I am. I'm using it just to be able to shoot at things, to catch their attention really, and to finish off enemies. But if you have a bow going, you might be able to actually main this bow and kill these guys effectively. I would probably use feather arrows or at least equip the hawk ring to get better range. And yeah, you can try that too. But for me, my most damaging stuff is either my pyromancy, which has really short range, or my sword, which is also really short range. So I'm just going to keep baiting their attacks until they eventually come after me. But another issue is that they put these drakes here in such a tight space that you really can't fight them very well. Here's where I switched to my Silver Knight Shield. I forgot that I upgraded it too. So it's also just got higher stability and stuff. Makes it a better shield. So upgrading shields is pretty important. I can't say it's as important as your weapons and maybe your armor, but it is pretty helpful to do if you max those out too. So if you want, you can take some time and farm at Londo for souls and try to get enough souls to buy just a ton of Twinkling Titanite. It's super expensive, so take your time and do that, and then you can upgrade your shields too. Especially the crest shields and the Silver Knight Shield. They're basically going to cover the main elements, with the Dragon Crest doing fire, and the Crest doing magic, and the Silver Knight doing lightning. There's really nothing else you need to worry about. There is the Black Knight Shield, which you can use, which I think blocks like 95 fire, like 95%, which makes it better than the Dragon Crest Shield, but it also weighs like double the amount, and it's got really high stability though too. So you can also save up some souls and get some Twinkling Titanite to upgrade that in the future too. Because there is a spot where you can farm Black Knights. But that's pretty much the end of the game. We'll do, or at least my plan is to go ahead and do the base game all the way up until the final boss. That way you can do the DLC at basically full power, so that you don't really struggle too much, because it's supposed to be the harder part of the game, and the DLC is pretty cheap. So if you don't have it, which if you're on PC I believe you should have it, it's on Xbox. I think last time I tried to buy it, it was like $10, but that was forever ago. I think on like Xbox One for backwards compatibility, it comes with it. On 360, it's probably like $5 or $10, and it's worth it. So anyway, after you do that, we got the Brigand set from the bridge here, which is the Bandit class armor. And you get another Spider Shield. I don't know why there's 2 in this game. And then if you climb up the ladder, you get the Red Tear Stone Ring, which is exactly like the blue one, except it increases your attack when you're low on health instead of your defense. So a lot of people do that for like one-shot builds, because it actually increases your attack by like 50% when you're low on health. So it's pretty powerful actually. more powerful than the blue variant, I feel. Because the blue variant's like, oh, when you're low on health, you get more defense, which basically means anything that would barely kill you wouldn't kill you. Whereas the red Tearstone ring's like, hey, if you're out of healing and you're wearing this or whatever, you're going to be low on health and you're going to be trying to survive. So you can wear this and that'll help out. Plus, it's another thing you can get super early in the game if you run down here and do that early. But taking the elevator up and resting at that bonfire takes us all the way up to Darkroot Basin, or also Darkroot Garden. It's basically the same thing. I don't know why they call it anything different other than to barely differentiate, but the Hydra is back here, is the point. I pointed it out a couple videos ago and said we were going to have to fight that. Well, we're going to fight it now because it's the way you get into the DLC. Because in order to get into the DLC, you have to defeat the Hydra, and then quit your game or cause a loading screen, so like Homeward Bone or Teleport or something, out of the area, come back, and then there'll be a crystal golem like this, except gold, and we'll destroy that, and we'll actually unlock an NPC merchant character. She sells other sorceries, and you can buy stuff from her now. That's another benefit. But eventually, you have to do that and then go to Duke's Archives to grab an item that will allow us to actually get into the DLC. And so maybe Duke's Archives I'll go to next in the next video, because that'll be interesting and that'll unlock the DLC completely if you're really interested in doing that. But for now, we're going to try and deal with this Hydra, and I say try because even though the Hydra is actually pretty weak, it can kill you even near the end game because of these water blasts. The Hydra itself doesn't have a ton of health, it's just that these water blasts have a big area of effect and they're pretty hard to avoid actually. And you can see it's killing these crystal golems. Like, they don't have very much health, they have like 500 plus health or something, but still, it's basically two-shotting these things. So you can imagine if you tried to run down here as an early character, how you would get killed. And you really can't block it, there's really nothing you can do to block it. I don't even think a Great Shield can block more than maybe 2 of those. And that's if you've got it like really high stability and you've got a lot of stamina. It's pretty hard to get past. And so this throws a lot of people off. I know the first time I played this game, I didn't have the DLC and I didn't know about this NPC person. So I had no desire to fight this thing because the water blasts were killing me. I was like, how is it going to attack when I get close to it? If the water can kill me, what else can kill me? And it really turns out that the water is the most powerful part of it. Once you get past the water, which is a struggle if you're not really light armored, if you're like medium armored and medium rolling like me, you just gotta get into the water here. Then it'll do this roar, and you can block that head attack pretty easy with a good stability shield like the Crest Shield. And it's then just about trying to bait the head attack. If you get knocked out, like I did, they're going to keep doing the water blasts, and that's going to be annoying, and you're not going to be able to get the head attack. But when they do that, you can go ahead and attack the heads, and you can cut off the heads in like a few hits. It's really not that powerful. Plus, every head that you take out is a water blast that's not attacking you should you get knocked further away and they decide to do that attack again. And it means when you cut off the head that this attack is a lot easier too. You don't have to really worry about blocking so much. And so there are 2 ways to kill the Hydra. You either drain all its health down to nothing, or you cut off all the heads. It's kind of weird that the heads have a different health bar, if you want to call it that, than the actual beast itself. But yeah, you can cut off all the heads without actually draining all the health, and that will kill this Hydra. It's a pretty cool concept, actually. And in fact, the boss that we're going to fight, actually there's two bosses we're going to fight in this video. The second one in New Londo is going to kind of have the same thing happen. So it's pretty cool if you ask me. Sometimes it gets annoying though because the Hydra can phase into the mountain. Makes it really hard to attack one of the heads when it's doing that. And then one of them's just really hard to hit when it does that attack anyway. So hopefully you can kill it without having to cut off all the heads. But if you have to cut off all the heads, then it's not too bad. Just watch your step because it's really deep there and you will fall to your death if you get too close to it. That's how they stop you from running straight up to it and attacking it with your sword. And I wanted to show that you can get through this area without the rusted iron ring. Your character moves pretty slow, but you can roll if you're not wearing any armor, and you can drain your stamina to go normal speed. I watched a video today, and one guy was like, oh, the best item or the most required item in the game is hidden. He was criticizing Dark Souls. He was talking about the rusted iron ring, and I didn't really agree that it's a necessary item. It certainly helps, don't get me wrong. You definitely want to go get the ring. And it's hidden, which makes it kind of annoying. But, the game is certainly beatable without it. So, we defeated the Hydra. Quitting and reloading, now you're going to see a golden golem back there. And so we're going to want to get to him and kill him. And there will be more golden golems later, and another golden one will contain another person. And there will be a couple more that don't contain anybody, but it's kind of a cool concept there too. And they're going to be stronger than the blue crystal golems. Even later in the game when we see them, they'll be stronger. But this one should be pretty easy.
So, 'tis thou who rescueth me. Most gracious, I am deeply obliged. I am Dusk of Oolacile. I cometh from an age long before thine. I cannot stay here for long. So, before I disappear, allow me to ask one thing. My home, Oolacile, is the home of ancient sorceries. My hope is to pass this profound knowledge to thee, with thine approval. Would this be of assistance? My heartfelt thanks. Then I shout, engrave my signature. Thou art in need, it seems that my time's done.
So again, you free her from the crystal golem, and she says, hey, I have sorceries from a different time period, from a different land that I want to give to you or sell to you so that you can use them on your journey. And yeah, you might as well go ahead and take those because she's there and she's offering it. And we just had to kill a Hydra to get there. I do want to point out, kind of remember this area because you're going to see it again in a different spot, and I'm going to point it out then too. So just kind of get an idea of what this area where the Hydra is and all these trees and everything looks like. Because it'll be pretty cool when I point it out later if you can see it. So her summon sign comes over here. And you just go over to it and tap A. And it'll automatically summon her. I thought it went away, but I forgot that hers is special. You don't even have to click yes. It just does it for you.
I am Dusk of Oolacile. It is an honor to see thee again. I shall follow thine wishes.
So you can learn the proper bow from her, and then you can learn her sorceries and buy a special catalyst. This ivory catalyst is not really ideal for higher level sorcerers. It's more ideal for weaker sorcerers. So if you have low intelligence, this staff is actually probably better for you because it's supposed to make your spells do more damage, but not scale very well with your intelligence. So if you're like running maybe 15 or 20 intelligence just to cast some basic sorcery, then it's the staff for you. And so I had 17,000 souls. That wasn't enough to actually get all those. So I guess you need 19,000 souls to buy all her stuff. Actually, 20,000 because I spent 1,000 on a staff. So I'm going to go ahead and buy this, and then I'll talk to her again. See what she says.
For a very long time, I was trapped within the crystal golem. From my home I was taken and banished to a plane of distortion. It was there that thou came to my rescue, long after I had relinquished all hope. So gleeful was I, my faith reneweth. The sorceries of Oolacile differ from the magic of thine age. It is difficult to explain. Oolacile's sorceries are, what doth one say? They're somewhat of an approximation. Thine sorceries are more straightforward, negating all but thyself. Dost thou not find some fascination in these discrepancies? The sorceries, thine, dost thou not find...
So her explanation's a little weird about the sorceries.
I of some genuine assistant. May the flames kite.
Yeah, it's a little weird. She says it's more of an approximation, and your sorceries are more focused on everything but yourself, which is a little weird because if you think about like weapon buffs or shield buffs, you are buffing your gear, but I guess the intent is to defend or attack against other enemies instead of doing something to benefit yourself, is kind of the point. So most sorceries that you have in your world are to have some sort of attack behind it, I guess. And the Oolacile sorceries you saw are different. It's like repair, which will repair your gear, and hidden body, which turns your dude kind of transparent. And then you've got cast light, which will help you see areas in the dark, and a couple others that really don't sound that interesting, but they have their own unique uses at times. Like, say, repair. That is really useful if you're using a weapon like a dragon weapon that degrades really quick. So, like, if you're using the Drake Sword and you use the special attack, and you really like that special attack, the weapon will break if you use that like 8 times. If you use repair, you'll be able to repair your weapon. Plus, it's free. You just have to have the intelligence to cast it. Whereas if you try to rest at a bonfire and you've almost broken your weapon, those weapons have like a couple hundred to 500 or 600 durability. So depending on how much durability it has, if it's almost broken, to repair it's going to cost quite a bit. So it's pretty interesting. It's really for specific weapons and specific builds, but those are other sorceries that you would probably not even know existed had you not done the DLC or even talked to her or done that. The DLC is kind of hidden in this game. So I want to point out kind of how to start it, because you have to free her and do like a loading screen and stuff to get the item in Duke's archives. So anyway, I'm quitting my game at this point because in the Darkroot Garden area with all the people, you can get invaded. This is a very high PvP hotspot here. A lot of people around here. So a trick, if you're trying to get through here, but you want to be human to, say, summon a friend or something, put on a homeward bone or another online play item that would send you away, like a cracked red eye orb or something, and keep it in your quick inventory, and then look for when it goes dark. If the item goes dark, then it probably means you're being invaded. Sometimes the game just kind of glitches and says, hey, it's dark and it's staying dark. Like when you're talking to somebody, that's not a glitch, but it's not going to show up light as if you could use it while you're talking to somebody in their dialogue. But like I talked to Alvina, it went dark and then it never came back, which means I was probably being invaded. So it's a good checker, and when you see it go dark like that, if you quit your game before you actually get invaded, it will stop the person from invading your world. And this is really a nice trick to do on PC, because if you have like an SSD, this game will load insanely fast. And with DS Fix, you can negate all of like the opening credits and all of that would be annoying. You can just get rid of all of that so that you don't have to worry about seeing company logos and all of that. So in an effort to actually get to my boss fight without quitting for the next 20 minutes, I was going to try and farm these mushroom people, but I'm getting invaded all the time. So in an effort to actually just get through this, I'm going to go ahead and just go for the boss fight. Because, yes, this is a boss fight. I guess I didn't really mention that, but this big glowing door is your next boss that you have to face if you want to do New Londo completely next. So you open this up, and you gotta run for this giant tombstone in the background. Now I'm just looking back to see if the invader's following me, but you run for this big sword and big tombstone. Yeah, that message is a little annoying because Sif was attacking me and I couldn't do anything. But this is Great Grey Wolf Sif, and he's probably not what you were expecting for a boss fight. He's basically just a humongous wolf with a sword, which is pretty cool in itself. Before I get into his story, really, I want to just fight him, and then I'll have time to talk about his story. So with Sif, his biggest thing is that he does all these fancy jumps and twirls, but this double twirl is going to be a pain. You'll be able to block one or dodge one, but usually the second will go ahead and hit you, and it's one of his most powerful attacks, so you end up losing about half of your health, or more. If you happen to have as much health as I do, then it's about half. And so, he attacks a little weird, but he often misses if you're close. So you stay under him, he's missing with a lot of those attacks. And he does some, like, jump backwards slashes and stuff that can catch you off guard. Like that. So, for the most part, the strategy for defeating Sif is just stay close and try to get under him. And that'll cause him to miss a lot. If you stay further back, you're going to get hit by some of those attacks, and it's something that you really just need to avoid. So he does a lot of damage, but he often misses. His weakness is being closer. So just kind of hang back. I know he jumps around a lot, so it can be really hard to stay close. But you can see most of his attacks are just missing me altogether. And so when you get him down below his last little segment of health, he'll start to limp around, and he'll get pretty weak. You can see this. He's limping. He's moving super slow. He really can't jump and attack like he was able to before. If he does get close to you and attack, it does far less stamina damage. There's no huge wind-ups. He basically doesn't become a threat anymore. Gets really clumsy, and he's really trying his hardest. And so it's pretty much just this. You can postpone this as long as you want, but there's no way to save him, unfortunately. So go ahead and finish him whenever you want. And Sif deserves a bow. Too bad this stuff's gonna be in my way when I do it, but he deserves a bow. And so that's Sif. You get the Covenant of Artorias, which is a ring that you get to put on that will allow you to traverse the abyss from him. This is the Grave of Artorias here, and behind it you can pick up the Hornet Ring, which is really something you could have gotten after we opened up this whole area with the Covenant, the Forest Hunters and all that. You could have walked in here and avoided walking up to the tombstone and grabbed it, but we're grabbing it now, and it boosts your critical attacks. So backstabs and stuff are going to be more powerful, same with parries and ripostes. Those will do more damage, and sometimes you get a special animation depending on if the person you're attacking or riposting or whatever is human. So it's a pretty cool ring, used in PvP a lot, but it's also pretty significant in PvE if you're doing a lot of that. So let's go back to the story of Sif and what he's about. Sif's story is actually pretty sad. So if you do the DLC before you battle him, you'll actually get a special cutscene, because in the DLC he's there too, but really his thing is Artorias was his master. He was the wolf companion, basically pet of Knight Artorias. And Knight Artorias obviously has died, because that's his grave that we just went to. And so Sif is using Artorias' sword, that's the sword he was using in his mouth there, to defend his master's grave. And so Alvina says that the Grave of Artorias is a myth, and people who go looking for it are basically sentencing themselves to death, and blah blah blah. She's trying to deter people from going over there, because Sif believes it's his duty to defend his master's grave, to protect it from robbers and stuff. And so if you also look in that arena there, you can see a whole bunch of swords and stuff from people who have apparently attempted to go in there and have all lost to Sif. And so he's just trying to defend his master's grave, and you walk in there and basically become a grave robber, and you just really want the ring so that you can get into the abyss and save the world. But Sif doesn't know this, and so he thinks you're attacking his master. And basically you killed a knight's loyal dog, and you should feel terrible. I guess you really shouldn't feel terrible, because you have to do it. There's no way around it, but it is a little unfortunate that that's just how the story goes. So it's a sad tale of you basically killing an innocent creature. If only you could talk to wolves, then you would understand what he's trying to do, and he would understand what you're trying to do, and maybe things could have gone differently. So, anyway, we're back in New Londo, and continuing on ahead, using your transient curse, you can kill any ghosts that are in your way, so just kind of follow the path that I've been taking, and you should be all good to go. A lot of these ghosts will hide behind walls and stuff, so if you can see little ghostly hands or robes or whatever sticking out of walls or floors, try to hit them before they're ready to attack you, because they're often trying to ambush you. This area, if you're using a powerful enough weapon like I am, should actually be pretty easy. And so it's just gonna be killing and looting bodies and stuff for the special equipment that's down here. Like, there's a different type of bow. We just picked up the parrying dagger that was over there. We also just picked up some humanity. The ghosts can only be killed while a transient curse is active, or if the player is cursed, or if you're using a cursed weapon, which those are really rare. the ghosts drop cursed weapons that you can kill them with, but again, you have to be able to kill them to get that weapon anyway. So the reason why you have to use Transient Curse is, if you read up on it, it's a hand or a limb of some kind from a person who was cursed. And I guess somehow using it, I don't know if you eat it or whatever, using it allows you to mimic a type of curse. It's almost like being cursed temporarily, except you don't lose all your health, or half your health, I should say. And you aren't perpetually hollow and the kind of annoying stuff that being cursed actually does. Now, if you are cursed, say from like the basilisks in the depths, you can kill ghosts just fine. It's just that you're going to be losing some health for doing that, and you can't be human, and all of that stuff. So Transient Curse is a temporary character buff that allows you to attack ghosts. And then there are cursed weapons that are able to do that because they are cursed and the ghosts are cursed, so fighting cursed with cursed, and it works. But for you, you're probably going to want to have Transient Curses, and you can buy Transient Curses from the undead female merchant in the waterway, but the ghosts have a pretty good chance of dropping 2 of them at a time. And the curse should last long enough for you to at least get 1 drop from a ghost, which will then eventually stack up. Like, I have 10. This will last me, these 10 will probably last me a half hour. And so in a half hour, you would assume that you could get at least a couple more. And so you should be able to maintain, if not increase, your supply of Transient Curses without having to buy any. So you can buy some from her. You can also buy some from the guy we're about to talk to. His name's Ingward, and he is the NPC in the game that allows you to remove a curse. If you are cursed and you didn't have any purging stones to do the job for you, plus they're also really expensive, you can run in here and you can talk to him and remove your curse. Unfortunately, he is surrounded by all these ghosts, which makes that pretty difficult. So a lot of players, they end up accidentally getting cursed. They don't know how to get rid of their curse, and they haven't bought anything, they don't have the souls to buy anything, or maybe they've just been cursed enough times where they can't buy any more purging stones from anybody, and then they're stuck having to go to New Londo to remove it. And some people give up at that point because it's kind of a crappy way to get in here. But at this stage in the game, with a good enough weapon, if you've picked your weapon and it's upgraded to fit your character well enough, or if it's just a really high damaging weapon like this Silver Knight Straight Sword, you should be able to one-shot most of these ghosts without really any issues. And so there's various loot that's hidden around here, like the Curse Bite Ring I just picked up a moment ago will actually help defend against cursing, but cursing doesn't happen too often in this game, so it's really not that effective.
Well, this is a surprise. I get few visitors, save for ghosts. You have the Lord Vessel. Very impressive. I know exactly what your intentions are. You seek the 4 kings whom I guard over. This is the key to the seal. The 4 kings slumber in the deepest chamber of the ruins. Use this key to break the seal and open the floodgates. Oh, and do not forget, the dark wraiths reside in a dark void called the Abyss. But the Abyss is no place for ordinary mortals. Although, long ago, the knight Artorias traversed the Abyss. If you can find him and learn from him, the Abyss may prove surmountable. Hello there. The key to the seal is now in your hands. I will help you in any way possible.
So you can have your curse broken You can purchase transient curses from him. You can get a sorcery, resist curse, which I'm going to get, even though I'm not going to use it.
Sacrificed to contain the Dark Wraiths. Mark my words. The Dark Wraiths are the enemies of man and any living thing that has a soul. They were never meant to roam again. New Londo?
So now we're going to go ahead and drain the water from New Londo. That's what this key does, and he doesn't give you this key unless you have the Lord Vessel. Now what you can do, and it's really not advised, is you can actually kill Ingward earlier in the game, and he drops the key, and then you can run over here and drain the water from New Londo, and go ahead and fight the 4 kings that we're going to go fight, and then you can get the benefits of doing that without having to get the Lord Vessel. But that is pretty hard to do, and if you were going to do it, you'd probably cheat to do it on PC. And so to drain the waters, you go this way, but I didn't mean to jump like that, so I've got to go ahead and cut the video again. So you actually want to go over here, open this door with the key to the seal, and then you push this lever here. It's going to open the doors right there. And now you see the blue drakes over there, so that's the Valley of Drakes. That's the giant door that they were standing guard in front of for no real reason. And yeah, now you can kind of see how the world connects. Valley of Drakes and that bonfire that's not too far away. You can run through the main doors of New Londo and go in this way now that we've gotten rid of all the water. So you may not have put it together yet, but if you look around and you remember what Ingward just said, basically New Londo was sacrificed or flooded to stop the Dark Wraiths from taking over the city or killing people or whatever it was, something really terrible. And so they flooded the entire city and everybody in it. And so all these ghosts are actually the people of New Londo who died from all the flooding. And you can see evidence of this when we get down a little later here. You'll see dead bodies, waterlogged bodies, skeletons, and everything at the bottom of New Londo here, where those were all the citizens. So it's kind of a dark story, but they said sacrifices had to be made, and they sacrificed the city so that the Dark Wraiths wouldn't escape. Because apparently they are such an evil blight on humans in this guy's eyes that that was worth it. So something I'm going to do, you don't have to go do it right now. You can just watch me. But I'm going to go down here. This is where you get the Curse Bite Ring. So you don't have to drop down from the roof and do this. But if you drop down here, you can get a Large Soul of a Proud Knight, which you can't get unless you drop from up there. And to get back up there is kind of annoying. So I'm going to do that now. Now that kind of disorients you because you're really not supposed to go that way first. Your first time through here, you're not going to understand where you are in relation to everything. But that's a Dark Wraith in his armor with his special sword. And so if you haven't placed the Lord Vessel with Frampt, after you defeat 4 kings, you can look like a Dark Wraith and basically act exactly like they act. So we'll fight more and you can see what they're all about. These swords are pretty powerful when upgraded. A lot of people like it. That's the Dark Sword. A lot of people like their armor. Over here we have another enemy. He's called the Mass of Souls. He's not very tough. He shoots pretty much projectiles like straight at you, so you can just strafe left or right and dodge it. And the little like tongue spear, bone spear thing he's doing is nothing too special either. He usually just slams it on the ground or swings it left and right. He does spawn those exploding skull things, but all you gotta do is kill him. He won't come back. There is another one around here, but this one won't come back when you kill it. Neither will the other one. So you only have to deal with him once. Plus, you get 5,000 souls for killing him, which is a lot. And that's pretty awesome. So, there are 3 Dark Wraiths in this area. So if you have only killed one, you should be on the lookout for another one. And that ability there, where he tried to grab me, is called Life Drain. And it's given to you from an item called Dark Hand, which you can actually get from these guys. They can drop it. Most of the time they drop Titanite chunks. They do have a chance of dropping Titanite slabs too. And that would make them, I think, the only enemy in this game that can drop Titanite slabs. And it's pretty rare. So, for farming, they drop 1,200 souls normally, and they have a really high chance of dropping Titanite chunks, and a pretty rare chance of dropping Titanite slabs, but it is possible. So I like to do my chunk farming and slab farming down here. And I mentioned earlier, we weren't able to upgrade our weapons higher than plus 10, normal weapons that is, because we didn't have the right ember. But we're gonna get the ember real short. It's in this area here. And once we get it, we can give it to Andre, and that will allow you to max out any normal weapon up to plus 15, or raw weapons up to plus 10. Which makes your standard normal weapons, like a club or something, really powerful. And so you can see here, these are all the waterlogged bodies on the ground. This is the lift for the seal. I brought it up last time, but I'm gonna kind of act as if you went down the lift. So you would come down the lift from the seal, opening the door, and you'd run over here across the waterlogged bodies here. And you can go that way. That's just gonna take you to Valley of Drakes. We just went through there. But you would come up here. You would kill this Dark Wraith that I killed. There's nothing in these jars. I'll show you that there's nothing in these jars. There shouldn't be anything. I'm also kind of double checking for myself because, again, it's been a while. But I'm like 95% certain that there's nothing down here. So you can search around corners and break more jars. Nothing over there. So you'd kill this Dark Wraith. And then in this area, you'd have a Dark Wraith to your left, the Massive Souls, and the 2 Dark Wraiths over here. And if you run left, you could take this lift up, and this would kind of take you to a shortcut to Firelink Shrine. You can take that up. You're going to have to fight some ghosts, so make sure Transient Curse is active. But you really want to go right and up this stairwell. And just to be safe, I'm going to activate Transient Curse because I died and quickly ran past all the ghosts. So I want to make sure that I don't get surprised. But here's a Soul of a Brave Warrior, which is a lot of souls. I think that's like 10,000 or something. Maybe 5,000. It's quite a bit. And we'll continue running this way. You get to this corner. There are no ghosts following me. I was just checking. This message says dead end. And it is a dead end, but I'm confirming. I know it says dead end because I check it right now. But I'm confirming that because for whatever reason in my mind I thought there was something back there, even though I knew there wasn't. And you go this way. Here's a chest. You might have seen it earlier because over there is the parrying dagger on that body in the top right corner. Kind of over there by that message. And anyway, inside is the very large ember, which is an upgrade from the large ember, which, like I said, makes your normal weapons just immensely strong. So now you can finally max out weapons. You're going to have to use chunks and a slab to completely max out a weapon or armor, but it's kind of worth it. So after that, you come over here, and this is the Dark Wraith I killed via my shortcut, which was over there. I dropped down. And now this is stuff I haven't done. So you should be all caught up to where I made my special drop. So in here is a mass of souls, and 2 Dark Wraiths, and possibly some ghosts. So you want to make sure that there's a transient curse active. And the ghosts are only really there if you haven't killed them yet. Sometimes ghosts are a little funny. They can trigger and fly through walls like 2 miles away and come after you. Or sometimes you can almost walk right in front of them and they don't do anything. I don't know why, but ghosts are just a little weird. So you may or may not have some ghosts. Just be on the lookout. So we gotta deal with this mass of souls. Again, 5,000 souls, pretty easy. And he doesn't come back either. Just watch out for the exploding skulls. Here's the other Dark Wraith. Titanite chunk in here. There's one more Dark Wraith if you're trying to farm Dark Wraiths for Titanite chunks and stuff. The other Dark Wraith, he's by himself, and he shouldn't come after you unless you deliberately go over here. You can grab this item, that's safe. But if you go down these stairs, then you have to deal with this other Dark Wraith. If you don't, he really shouldn't bother you. He should kind of stay up here and just keep to himself. So if you're not trying to farm them for any reason, then you shouldn't have to worry about him. But at this point, you are ready to do the boss. Just make sure you put on the Covenant of Artorias. I'm going to return to Firelink Shrine so that I can spend my 35,000 souls that I got from just running around down there, and to make sure I have all my flasks back, because I don't want to run in there with low flasks because it's a boss fight. So I think I'm going to put the points into Vitality so that I can have more health. My goal is about 1,100 health, maybe 1,200, at least 1,000 for sure. So I'm just putting the points into health. And then, yeah, you just want to go back down to New Londo and try to get down past where that second massive souls was. If you haven't yet, you can upgrade your Estus Flask to +3. I did that when I died, so it's not on film of me doing it, but it is already upgraded and ready to go. And as a precaution, just in case you need to run away from ghosts or something, maybe you're being swarmed and you barely make it through the boss fog, make sure to equip your Covenant of Artorias. That way you can traverse the abyss without any issues. There is a little bit of a wait before the boss happens. Like, you get to run down some stairs and then drop down into the abyss, so you shouldn't have to worry about it too much, but it's always nice to be cautious. And I have gold pine resins ready just to add extra damage, because this boss fight is not so much about dodging and strategy as it is about out-damaging the boss. Because he does magic damage, and his magic damage actually isn't very high. But the thing about him is that he can swarm you pretty easy. He does have some pretty powerful magic attacks, but he doesn't use them very often. So you're definitely going to want to have some magic defense stuff and a pretty high stability shield. That'll help out a lot. And just prepare yourself. It's probably not going to go the best for you the first time. So what I would do is I would just go ahead and watch me do it. And I'm going to show you a really cool shortcut so that you don't really have to fight very many enemies. You can kill these 2 ghosts, or you can run past them. Doesn't really matter. And if you remember, there was this jar back here that had 2 transient curses on this body. If you hop down, you don't have to land on this stone archway thing, but I like to because it's less fall damage. You hop down here, you hop down here. Now you're in this water pit here, where there's this Dark Wraith. That's after the other 5 Dark Wraiths, if you went down the lift by the seal. Because there's those 2 by the first staircase, and then there's those 3 where the first Massive Souls was. We just skipped all of that, and the whole way to the seal and all of that. And then you've got your 2 Dark Wraiths in this room, where the second Massive Souls was. Again, here's the ghosts. Like I said, you have to be careful because ghosts just like to show up sometimes. I must have killed them somehow last time, or maybe they just didn't feel like attacking me. Like I said, they're weird. So, deal with your Dark Wraiths however you deal with them. Hopefully you get more upgrade material. Don't get grabbed by that. It actually drains your humanity, and you won't get it back if you get grabbed by that. That is an ability, like I said, you can get from them. They sometimes drop Dark Hand, which allows you to do that. But you also can get it after you defeat the 4 kings down here. So we'll get to that pretty soon. At least I'll explain it. I can't show it because I sided with Frampt. So if you've been following exactly and you too sided with Frampt, then there's really no huge reward for doing this right now, other than it's one of the 4 lords that go down. So in this area you should be pretty safe. Ghosts can still fly through the walls, so you're not completely safe. If you've been running past everything, you can still kind of get attacked in this area. But you don't have to go all the way down the stairs. You just have to have the Covenant of Artorias on, and you have to make this fall. Just don't hit the other spots, because you will take fall damage. You can fall from here. People have left some messages on the ground, because this room is pitch black and whatnot. And you're going to want to buff your weapon pretty quick, because the boss is going to start. And so the 4 kings does magical attacks like that, and he's got some pretty powerful sword attacks, but it's only certain ones, like the big slam down, and I think one of his stabs. These side slashes, I'm not even blocking. I'm letting my poise take care of the damage, and I took him out. But 4 Kings has a little trick. He is not just one boss. He has copies of himself. There's a reason why he's called 4 Kings, is because there can be up to 4 of him active at once attacking you. So why you want to out-damage this boss is because each of the 4 Kings has a health bar. And so if you can kill them before another clone of the 4 Kings shows up, then you only have to fight one at a time. And one by itself is not too bad. It doesn't matter where you are in the fight. I've killed 2, and it's called 4 Kings, but that doesn't mean that there's only 4. I can kill 2, I can kill 3, and if I don't kill the last one or drain their health bar completely, I can have 4 more attacking me. Watch out for the AoE, like all bosses have. And watch out for a grab attack that will also drain your humanity and do some decent damage. But again, it's just about trying to do damage to him in a short amount of time before another copy shows up. This one is flying back from me and is doing more magic attacks. Like, this is a pretty heavy magic attack if you don't block. And so I'm not getting all the damage I need to be getting. And so I'm looking, and if you look in the very far distance, you can see that, well, he's a lot closer now. There's the other 4 Kings. And he's attacking me now. you can see he was just coming right at me while I was fighting the other one. So this is where the boss fight can get a little crazy, is if you don't take them out fast enough. So really keep working, try to take them down. In fact, with this one, I get one hit away from defeating them, and then another one shows up, and I can't hit this one. I still make it, but the group community health bar, you can see there's another one right there. It doesn't matter which one I hit at this point, I just gotta do damage to the community health bar. And with him running away, that's not very nice. So running attack, I hit him. 4 kings is down. That's a very tough fight if you don't have a high damage weapon. And you gotta watch out for other attacks. That one was trying to do a magic blast on me, and I kind of forgot. That could have actually killed me. But he's dead, the bonfire shows up, so I'd have to run back down here and light the bonfire, but other than that, that's taken care of. That's the 4 kings, and high damage weapons do as much damage as you can in a short period of time. That's the strategy for that one. If you take too long, you're going to get overwhelmed, and it's just a much harder fight. So after you defeat him, if you haven't placed the Lord Vessel with Frampt, you should see another serpent that looks exactly like Frampt, except he sounds different, and he's called Darkstalker Koth. If you place the Lord Vessel with him, you get the ability to become a Dark Wraith. He will give you the armor, and he will give you the sword, he will give you Dark Hand, and he will give you a perfect Red Eye Orb, it's just called the Red Eye Orb, that you can use repeatedly to invade people online and kill them. And killing them gives you humanity, and to rank up in that covenant, you just have to keep giving Koth humanity. You can also farm for hard humanity and pop them. You need 30 to get to max rank with him, or at least max rank that matters, so that you get all of the stuff. Because I think at rank 30 you get all of the armor, the weapon, and you get the Red Eye Orb. Maybe you get the armor and the weapon at 10. No, I think 10's the Red Eye Orb, and the armor and weapon are at 30. And then Dark Hand is something I think they give you just for joining. They're the ones that Blades of Dark Moon go after and punish for killing people. Because they go out, they kill people, they take their humanity, and they're done. Now, players can report you for doing that, and what I mean by report is that they'll put you in an online item that makes you get invaded by Blades of Dark Moon, so that you get attacked by them, and a Spirit of Vengeance, a blue spirit, will come and attack those who have been killing people. So that is the Dark Wraith Covenant. It's the main PvP covenant, really. And so that is your ticket into that, if that interests you. So at this point, we have done the 2 paths. You can either choose Frampt or choose Koth, and they each have their own rewards for doing that. And next time we can either go to Duke's Archives, the Demon Ruins, and do Lost Izalith and all of that, or we can do Tomb of the Giants. I haven't really decided which one yet, so it'll probably be Duke's Archives just to continue on with the whole DLC thing, but we'll find out. So that'll be the plan for next time. Thank you for watching, and I hope it was helpful.